We're recording.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and once again call to order the Garrison Board of Education regular meeting of August 26, 2020 via Zoom again. Dusty, would you call the roll, please?
Jocelyn Apicello.
Here.
David Gelber. Waiting for him to arrive. James Hoke.
Here.
Madeline Julian.
Here.
Courtney McCarthy.
Here.
Matthew Spicer.
Here.
And Sarah Tormey.
Here. Okay, I shall now lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, now we are going to go to item number 2, approve agenda and agenda changes. I'm going to read the resolution first. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District hereby approves the board agenda for the August 26, 2020 meeting as presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It looks like Jocelyn in the attendant. No? Okay.
Jocelyn did raise her hand virtually.
Okay. Jocelyn, do you have a question? Okay.
She lost her signal or something.
She might have lost. Oh, Jocelyn's an attendee. Can we switch her back into panelist? Something went wrong. Although it looks like I see her now. Here is.
If this is, oh, she's here. Maybe she's logging in as a different.
Sorry, I got booted off and then had to come back as an attendee.
Nice. Okay, that's okay. Okay, let's go.
There's 2 of you. Double trouble.
Can you vote? Can she vote twice?
No,
Okay.
but we can go ahead and vote on the agenda as presented unless anyone has any questions or changes. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Dusty, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Jocelyn Apicello.
Yeah, aye.
James Hoke.
Aye.
Madeline Julian.
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy.
Aye.
Matthew Spicer.
Aye.
Sarah Tormey.
Aye. Thank you. All right, I'm keeping an eye out for David. I still don't see him, but hopefully he will join us shortly. So now we're on to President's remarks. I will be very brief so we can get through the agenda tonight, but I feel like I'm going to begin this meeting like I've begun many of the others by saying thank you to our community. I want to especially thank our administrative team for all the hard work they've done. Carl, you and your team have been great. I want to thank our teachers. I know they're coming back in, setting up classrooms. We really appreciate all your ongoing efforts and how you've been a part of the conversation going forward. So we're really grateful to you. We're grateful to the custodial staff. Everyone is working really hard to get us prepared for the coming school year. I also want to thank the parents in the community. I believe everyone responded to our survey. I appreciate everyone taking the time to think through their options. I know these choices are difficult and it's a very confusing time. We appreciate your patience with the school as we continue to figure things out. I know people still have a lot of questions and we are continuing to provide answers as quickly as we can. And so again, thank you for your patience. Communications will continue to come out. I believe Carl will speak to that. And then I also want to thank the board. I never imagined I'd spend this much time talking to all of you and emailing all of you. James, you probably knew from last year, but it's been a pleasure so far. So thank you for all your efforts and ongoing efforts as we continue to open up our school and start the school year. All right, that's all I've got is one big thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Carl.
Good evening, everyone. So I guess the first big announcement is that on September 2nd, school is set to reopen. At this point, we are putting some finishing touches on facilities and schedules. And I, as Sarah said earlier, I must say to everyone, thank you for your patience. I think people, who have been following this and attended our town hall meetings have been great. The questions were great. They all helped us to further develop the plan and make some adjustments. The choices that were made last week, I mean, all of our parents, 100% of them responded, and I appreciate that before the deadline. And so we right away went ahead and started to finalize the schedule. Those who have opted for iTutor will get communication by the end of this week, as well as parents who have children in school. There will be a communication giving you all the key information that you need, everything from schedule to teacher to drop off and pick up protocol. All of those things will be forwarded to you by Friday, the latest. If we can get it earlier, we will. And again, thank you for the patience. We could not send it earlier because we just needed to gather all the information of who was selecting what option. Today, on a positive note, I want to say we did a transition day or morning, I should say, for the 6th grade students who were returning to school next week. And I must say it's the first time, after 7 weeks here, it's the first time I really met students live, and it was an absolute pleasure. They were so appropriate. They showed up in their masks. They showed up with their screening protocol filled out, handed it to Nurse Melissa, and we had a great conversation. They met a lot of their new teachers for the upcoming year, and we escorted them through the building. And of course, 6th grade now is in a new wing. It's a transition year, so we did it for 6th. And tomorrow morning, we're doing something similar for the incoming kindergarten children. So that has been wonderful to see children, and it's a good reminder of all the hard work and why all of us are working so hard to make this a successful year. Quick update on the principal search. We have here in Garrison, during a challenging time, we received well over 100 applicants for the position, which is really impressive. And this is a solid pool of candidates. Many sitting administrators with years of experience behind them. We have a community committee which consists of faculty members, also community members, and 2 of our board members. We appreciate all of you participating. And there was a training this past Tuesday with our consultants preparing for committee interviews, which are scheduled for early September. I think it's September 8th and 9th. Shortly after that, we will move into final stages of the process, and we are hopeful that we will present the board with a recommendation by the end of September. And we are looking to have someone in place by early October. So stay tuned. We will keep the community apprised of what's happening. And of course, the board will get all the information in their weekly updates as we've been doing. Also, we do have some financial information out of Albany. So if the board will allow me to bring Sue Hutter up as a panelist, just to give you a quick update. It's not a formal presentation, but there is important news out of New York State.
Welcome, Sue.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I just wanted to update the board. It's getting more clear that the state is actually going to be deducting about 20% of aid. Aid that I was expecting for the July, August, September timeframe from last year came in, and it was 20% less. And so what that means for Garrison is we can expect about $170,000 decrease in our aid for this current year. when I was on some meetings earlier this morning, and they're basically the state is going to be looking at this on a quarterly basis. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on it for now and see. But I guess worst case scenario at this point would be about 170,000 not coming. On the other side of that, there's also some new legislation out there that allows school districts to use reserves in this COVID crisis. So piggybacking on what James had said at our last meeting, if there's ever a crisis, it is now. So at least we have sort of a go-ahead to be able to use reserves if we need to. And that's really all I have to say about that, unless somebody has a question. Okay.
A question for you, Sue. In terms of using the reserves, we can use, the new legislation allows us to use reserves that were already earmarked for, say, other things now.
Other things, yes.
Before we could use our unearmarked fund balance, which at which
Yes.
we're still, I think, 8% on that right now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So it just allows us a little more flexibility.
Great.
I'll keep you informed as things come along. I do have a meeting on Friday with my government relations committee group. So sometimes I get some inside information. So I definitely will inform you anything that comes up on that meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sue. Okay. Sarah, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Okay. We will now move to item 5, board communications. I will read the resolution to start. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District hereby adopts the Board of Education goals for the 2020-2021 school year. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. Now I'm going to open it up for discussion. I believe you all have a draft of the board goals in front of you, hopefully, or you received it. To clarify these board goals, this is the edit. This takes all of the edits. I didn't change anything from what you all submitted as your changes to the goals. So this is all the changes here. We can further refine as needed. Dusty, I believe we can further refine now and then adopt it with the changes we wish to make, correct?
Yes, that's correct. You can adopt it as amended.
Thank you. So does anybody have any thoughts on our goals, changes, questions? Matt, go for it.
Not changes, or I think they look really good. More point of clarification, like for the public, really, that the board goals are kind of overarching goals that are about our general approach. So I think when I first started looking at the board goals, the thing that is sort of most urgent on an educational side right now across the nation is COVID and reopenings and all that. And so at first glance, that might seem like a disconnect between what's happening and what the board goals are, but this isn't about that. This is a broader, more overarching thing. So just wanted to clarify that if people were reading them at some point and wondering about what the goals of the goals are.
Correct. This is how we govern ourselves to make sure
Yeah.
that we are functioning properly. It includes in this draft for the public so that they know we are adopting. The next thing on our agenda is the board operational guidelines, which just give us guidelines of how to work with each other and to further define our role as board members. Any other thoughts or questions? Madeline? Madeline, I think you're still muted.
Sorry about that. So based on what we just heard about the 20% that we're not going to get from the state and what's going on with COVID, the use of iTutor that we have to take from the reserve, and to prepare also for what's coming up next year that we don't know, I really think that we need to pay a lot of attention to a long-range fiscal plan and find a way to monitor it and set some base and monitor it, not only yearly, but looking ahead to maybe a 5-year or even a 10-year, if that's even possible. So one of the last objectives, I think we said that we're going to do a long-term finance, but we should plan, but we should add some sort of monitoring matrix to see how we're doing and adjust as needed as these surprises come up.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. There is a finance goal that we have added for this year. I think perhaps the finance committee would be the place for the monitoring. That's also where we will see an audit as well. But the, an internal audit initiated this year is a goal that is listed there too. Carl, I was wondering if you could speak to, in your experience, do districts generally do 10-year planning? It's not something I'm as familiar with, or is there a scope that best fits the way districts plan and how taxes come in?
Sure. And I'm sure Sue Hutter could speak to this as well, but in my experience, typically school districts go 3 to 5 years with their financial planning. Every year beyond that just becomes more difficult to project. There are changes in funding. There are changes in our economy. Like at this point in time, the stock market is doing well, but certainly unemployment is an issue, and New York State is losing tax revenue. There's a bit of a disconnect there, but there's so many unknowns in the economy that most experts that I've worked with in school finance have suggested 3 to 5 years of projections. But certainly you can do more, and that's something we could talk to our committee and with Sue Hutter about. And Jocelyn, you have a question?
Well, related to it, I wonder who would be responsible for conducting the 3 to 5 year plan. Is it just the finance committee, or is it the business office? And I only wonder because if it's one of our goals as a full board, I just want to be sure that we can somehow try to achieve it given all of the other things that are listed. And so I'm just curious, who does a long-term finance plan?
Yeah, you do have some options there. I think definitely the finance committee ought to be involved, but it could be the whole board. But I think typically you would see the finance committee working with the business official and the superintendent, and in many cases bringing in an outside consultant as well. To look at that. And again, if you wanted to have a little more discussion, we probably should invite Sue up, or we could even plan something for one of our upcoming meetings to work out a little bit more detail. But yes.
Madeline?
But just to clarify, the change on the goal is to change it. We should change it from 10 years to 3 to 5 years. That make that revision, right?
I would propose, based on that, Madeline, review the district long-term financial plan, maybe with a 3 to 5 for the next 3 to 5 years.
Or maybe we might not need a number on the goal. There's no numbers anywhere else in the whole document. So it could just give us a little more leeway in the idea of if we review the district's long-term financial plan, period, if that's even feasible, I just don't know, instead of having a number on it.
Part of a financial plan has to be tied to an overall strategic plan, right? Because what you're trying to do is figure out revenues and expenditures in relationship to other things you want to achieve. So, we can't operate a financial plan irrespective of a strategic plan. It has to be hand in hand because otherwise you can't control for costs, right? So our debt service is in relationship to our capital project. If our capital project is part of our plan, it's going to shape our debt service, will shape our fiscal, our financial plan. So all that has to be sort of coordinated.
Are you suggesting then, because this year we're going to get the coherence plan completed most likely, that a long-term financial plan would be better for a following year? Or are you saying that they can't really happen at the same time?
I think what you want to do is too often people say, well, we can't do this because we don't have the money. It's better that you design your strategic plan, I think, first, and then your financial plan afterwards, so that you're not hemming or shortening your ambitions for your academic plan. You want to be adjusting your financial plan around what you want to achieve academically and institutionally. So I would say that they be sequential, the parallel processes, but largely sequentially. But I wouldn't say it would take. I think it can start maybe in January or February, a long-term financial plan. The finance committee we can start budgetary discussions and oversight at any time.
So I agree with you, James, but I also do think the language is important here because it says to review the district long-term financial plan is a starting point for how what is already in place would connect to what the coherence plan is. And just for everyone's sake, this is goal 5, it's evaluate financial practices. Our objectives under this are to initiate an internal audit, which would be done through the audit committee. Objective B is to review the budgeting process, which will feed in further to the reviewing the long-term financials as we look at budgeting process, look at our line items and things like that in the next budget cycle. So I'm personally comfortable keeping it on as review the district long-term financial plan. I think it's a good goal to, if we're looking at finances this year as a goal for the board.
Should it not be the word review, only because there's no plan to review? It's really develop. We don't have one yet, right?
I believe the district does, the board does not, would be the way I would phrase that is the board.
Oh, okay. The district already has this 3 to 5 year financial plan.
Maybe we do need Sue as to answer that question, to be honest.
Sue will have more history.
Here comes Sue.
Okay.
Hey, Sue.
Thank you, Sue, for coming back.
Hello, how are you? We do sort of have I would say a 3 to 5 year plan. I did present during the budget season the finances and projecting forward. I want to say last year the district invested in Forecast 5, which I've been using for different things, but they did help with projecting where we're going to be with COVID. So now those projections that I've showed were really more kind of, I want to say for the fund balance projections is what I've been doing, but I definitely have projections on revenues and expenses. It's not something I really presented to the whole board because you're getting knee deep into numbers, which I love, and I don't know if everybody else really loves. But you certainly could present something to the board if that's something you're interested in, because I have been working with them and they have our history of numbers. So normally a financial projection is going to be what your history shows. I mean, the only thing I would caution is right now we're making new history with COVID-19. It's the last 6 months have been really unpredictable. So what I presented last budget season probably needs to be updated even more so with new numbers that are coming in every day. We also have our financial advisors who you've met when we were doing the capital project presentations. Jason basically already said that he could help us with a 5-year projection if you want it more bindery looking and not just a presentation up on the board. We can do that as well. So there's options out there, and there are there are plans, and I can print things out for you. So I'm not really sure exactly what you're looking for, how deep you want to go. But we definitely have the tools to do it now. And we can expand if we wanted to use our financial advisors as well.
Thank you, Sue. So from what I'm hearing is we could review, and it might be that the history and the projections will help us as we continue to move forward. James, as the chair of the finance committee, do you have any further thoughts on keeping this as a goal and rolling it into the finance committee meetings for this coming year?
Oh, absolutely. I think yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that that's a natural fit. I think that like any other committee, you have to be reporting back constantly to the larger board, of course. And Sue does her own annual projections and, and whatnot. But I think that, yeah, so the answer, I think it's a good goal. I think the goal of the committee will be sort of trying to understand this new landscape we're in and what the new expenditures will be looking like this year, the next year, and so forth. So that's part of, I think, the going to be one of the goals of the committee.
Thank you. David?
So am I correct in assuming that the wild card here is the amount of support that we're going to get from the state over the next 2 years? I mean, so if that's the case, I mean, we're going to be down 20% this year, but we don't know what's going to happen next year, right? So we probably have to have projections based on radically different assumptions about what happens with COVID.
I'm going to say we're supposed to be getting projections in September for this current year, revised projections, so that would be clearer for this current year. Going forward, according to the webinars that I've been taking part of, next year is going to be the same or worse as far as, aid cuts. It's probably, I mean, if you look at the history, the state history of aid cuts when we've gone through bad times, it doesn't last 1 year. It's normally a 5 to even 10-year process to get back to normal. When I say Garrison is not even at the aid level that we were before the last crisis, which happened in 2010. So that's 10 years later, and we're not up at the aid level that we were then. So most of these cuts, I believe, might even be permanent. And that's what they were talking about today. So they might be permanent. On the other side, for Garrison, we don't get a lot of state aid. Most of our money does come from taxes. So, it's something I think would be easier to take at Garrison than in a poor school district.
I would just add, it's a very difficult environment to predict. What's unusual, and Sue, jump in and contribute to this, but the stock market, for example, directly impacts, the pension system. And if, the stock market is suffering, our pension contribution costs go up. However, that's not the case here. What's really being impacted is Main Street and tax revenue. And Sue is right. We're not affected as much as other districts. And some other districts are really, really suffering with this cutback in state aid. It affects us less, but there still is an impact. But it's an unusual economic environment right now. I think like nothing we've ever seen in recent history. Would you agree with that, Sue?
Absolutely. I mean, somebody mentioned that in the office the other day, a year ago is so different. So think about school opening a year ago, and the thoughts everybody was having very, upbeat and positive. And now we're talking about, the distancing and mask, and it's just, life is different. And the district is spending money in different ways than we've ever did before. because of COVID. So, you know, that's not going to go away in 3 months or 6 months. It's going to be, I think it's going to be here for the year. And we're going to feel the effects of that for a while.
I agree. And Sue, thank you for joining us. Does anyone else have questions for Sue before we move on with our goals? Okay. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate all your insights and your time. In terms of the language on this one then, would the board be comfortable with review the district's long-term financial projections and plans? Anyone else have any other thoughts on how to word this correctly? Madeline, please.
I would add some language and monitor it in some way, because as Sue was just mentioning, with changes, we might need to make transfer adjustments to even to the projections of next year based on the information that we're learning. So would it make sense to add something to monitor it?
I imagine that's going to be a goal. It's going to be like one of the goals within the finance committee. But I think, yeah. So, but it's the same. Functionally, it should. Yeah, it could happen at the board level too.
So at the board level, then the goal would be the proposed change is review and monitor the long-term district financial plan and projections. How are we feeling with this language, guys?
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
One of our jobs, monitoring. That's like it's like one of the things we do, right?
Exactly.
That's one of the. We do two things. That's one of them, right? Good.
Does anyone have questions? If we're comfortable with that, I'm gonna. Dusty, did you record that amended change?
I did.
Thank you. If we're comfortable with that language, I'd like to go back to the rest of the document and ask if anyone else had proposed changes, questions, thoughts on any of the other goals. As you know, and for the public, we will set the goals, we review the goals mid-year and rate ourselves on how we are doing towards achieving these goals. Then we look at them again at the end of the year. Some of these goals are carrying over from last year as we continue to strive to improve our governance, engagement, our collaboration, all of these things. Anyone else? Okay.
The communication, right? It's like a big goal for us, correct?
So
this year.
Yes, I can actually go through it. I'm happy to. I will. Would you like me to read the goals?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
if they're posted and they're readable and we approve, then it'll be posted, right? But I think the communication, I just wanted to underscore the importance of that one and developing a really strong communication plan. And I think that's probably just going to fall into Carl's wheelhouse. Am I right, Carl? Somehow?
Yes. Well, again, the board, you may recall last meeting that we retained a communications consultant expert who has a lot of experience working with schools. And you know, I think communication is at every level, the board level, administration level, our faculty level. So I think it'll be a really good collaborative effort with Maria Slippin. And I think we all have a part to play. It's a great goal.
Agreed. And then one of the objectives under goal 4 is communication, develop strong community board relations. Because our part, as you know, from the board perspective, reaching out to the community and encourage the community to contribute positively to the district through committee and task force work. I think that we've started that with some of our task force. We can certainly do more to engage the community on committee work, and we can have further discussions, if you'd like, when we review the goals as to how we are doing that community outreach to ensure that they are on committees. And I apologize for my dog. Any other goals that you would like to discuss? If not, then I would like to suggest that we move towards a vote to adopt these goals. And yes, they will be posted on the website for everyone to see so that you can see what the board's goals are for this school year. Dusty, can we proceed with the roll call vote, please?
Sure. Jocelyn Apicello,
Aye.
David Gelber, James Hogue, Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
and Sarah Tormey.
Aye. Okay. Go back to my other piece of paper here. Thank you, Dusty. Thank you for everyone for taking the time to put all the careful thought into our goals for this year. Next up, we have a discussion and adoption of board operational guidelines. So for the public, under our goal number 2, governance, the first objective is to follow the adopted board operational guidelines. This helps govern how we interact with the public. It reminds us of our role, how we interact with the superintendent. The key thing, I think this has come up for me at least recently, to point out to the members of the public in attendance tonight, is that the board only operates when convened. Individuals have no power. So we need to be together in a quorum. A quorum is 4 or more on our board of 7 in order for us to really have a discussion about anything. We don't talk about things offline except for things that are covered during executive session. Following those guidelines, really adhering to them, is very important for the board to operate. I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution now. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District hereby adopts the board operational guidelines for the 2020-2021 school year. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts? Is there anything you wanted to change to these operational guidelines as presented? While I wait just to see, I'll point out that these operational guidelines also include that we will try to end all of our meetings by 10 p.m., which I know is really exciting, some of us, but all right. No other comments, and I'd like to move to a roll call vote. Dusty?
Jocelyn Apicello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Aye.
James Hogue, you want to unmute James? I'm sorry. I want to just make sure I get everyone.
Weirdly, aye.
Okay, thank you. Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
And
Am I
Derek.
frozen?
You're good.
We'll have to start there, please.
Thank you. And Sarah Tormey.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to discussion for New York State School Boards Association, NYSBA liaison and representative. This is currently just a discussion, I believe, for tonight, and we can look to appoint next week. Am I correct on that, Dusty?
Yes, I think that's.
Okay. So if anyone is interested in serving as our liaison to NYSBA, part of this is there's also a NYSBA convention. It'll be a virtual convention coming up this fall. NYSBA is a New York School Board Association, so it's the whole state. Some of us may have done their training. I know Jocelyn, Courtney, and I were on a very interesting deep dive into policy, school board policy webinar that NYSBA presented earlier today. That was perhaps not as deep as we expected, but still interesting. So they do have a lot of great resources. If anyone is interested in being our liaison or representative, if anyone is interested in attending the conference, now would be a good time to voice that interest. The convention is virtual, so you can attend from your home, but we would need Dusty to register us and approve the cost. Anybody?
Who was the liaison last year?
I think I
Was there one? Okay.
Yeah, but I did not go to the conference last year. I did attend a summer law conference, and this year there will be one day of law and there will be one day of communications as special workshops in addition to the conference, in addition to the main conference. Yes, Madeline?
I would like to attend the conference, and if no one else wants to be the liaison, I can do.
Thank you. I think that would be excellent. You'll learn a lot. It's real. There's like 52 different sessions currently set up.
More Zoom meetings, huh?
It's all Zoom. It's all virtual. But it's really engaged. I think they have wonderful speakers at NISBA. So I think that would be wonderful. So can we make a note then, Dusty, that we can add it to next agenda to have Madeline appointed as our representative, and can you coordinate having her attend the conference, and we can look at approving the cost?
I will do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Madeline. Anyone else have any thoughts on NISBA before I move on? Okay. I'm going to move on to the next item, discussion for Westchester Putnam School Board Association, liaison and representative. So this is our local area grouping of school boards. Again, I went to a couple of meetings when I first joined the board. I found them really interesting. You can meet representatives from Lakeland, from Westchester, hear about their experiences. I went to a new member session back when things were in person and learned a lot about how other boards are functioning. I believe our neighboring district, Haldane, is involved with this organization as well, and they also have a lot of advocacy. They do a lot of working with Albany to sort of promote changes within the larger legislation that governs schools outside of what we handle in our district. Anyone interested or have thoughts, questions, excitement?
Is this just the liaison position, or is this the conference position, or?
So I don't believe they have the annual conference like New York School Board Association. I can't confirm
I
that.
think they have meetings, right?
They have regular meetings, so it would be the liaison attends the meetings. I'm not sure who our liaison was last year. I would have to go back and check. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up before the meeting. But if anyone's interested, this is I think a great position for advocating for legislation, things like that.
I'll do it.
Okay. Is anybody else interested?
Anybody else want to do it?
All I'll say is last year, I believe Jill was the liaison, but
Okay.
I also attended a couple of the sessions along with Jill. So depending on when they are and what's on the agenda, I feel like any of us could probably attend, I believe, if it's something that's interesting to us. Dusty, sorry, am I misspeaking?
No, you're fine. Yes, because we're members of the Westchester Putnam School Boards Association. So any of you as board members can attend one of their meetings. But certainly they do like to have a representative or liaison from the board in particular. But any of the board members can attend a meeting.
I'll do it.
James is it. He wins. Thank you. But everybody feel free, please attend the different sessions if you're interested. Thank you, James. Okay, so we'll make a note to appoint him at the next meeting as appropriate and communicate. Dusty, do you handle the communication as well to Westchester Putnam BOCES so they know?
Yes, I'll let them know.
Westchester School Board Association, excuse me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to move on. Accept the minutes from the August 12th meeting. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District hereby accept the minutes of the August 12th, 2020 special meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dusty, would you call the roll, please?
Jocelyn Apicello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Aye.
James Hope, Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
Sarah Tormey.
Aye.
I think you're muted, Sarah.
Sorry. We're now moving on to Personnel items, the consent agenda. So read the recommended action. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District, upon the recommendation of Carl L. Albano, Superintendent, hereby approve the consent agenda for personnel items 7B through I as presented. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Carl, would you like to make any comments? Carl, you're muted.
Muted.
Thank you. Of course, this is an important recommendation. This year in particular, we anticipate that we may need some coverage. We may need some extra support. So you have within this group of recommendations 5 certified per diem substitute teachers. That means they are daily employees. It's not a permanent position, but we do pay our substitutes $100 per day. I think they are 5 really motivated and good quality substitutes that would be here. Our first 2 days, August 31st and September 1st, we're actually doing training with staff on a variety of things such as new health protocols, how to recognize COVID symptoms, new arrival and dismissal and lunch procedures, and other shifts that we had to make this year to make sure children are healthy and safe, and as well as staff. So I do believe having some extra people to step in when needed and to provide coverage and supervision will be very, very important to the district. So I do recommend. I think we're fortunate to find 5 quality candidates that are willing to do this work with our staff and our children. So that is the purpose of having 5 additional candidates. The other, there's a leave replacement there. I think we're bringing back Pat Ravert, who covered for us as a leave replacement last school year, worked with our first graders. This is a 7-week assignment. Pat has great qualifications and did very strong work for us last year. Other than that, there is some summer hours. I'd like to say, we've had a tremendous amount of staff volunteering all summer long. However, our staff is not employed throughout the summer, and there were certain things, again, due to this complicated reopening. There was some extra work that was needed, and you do see some summer hours for particular employees that are very deserving. Probably for every hour we're paying them, they're putting in double the amount of time in helping us prepare. So I do appreciate all of the staff coming together this summer.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, comments, or thoughts before we move to a vote? Anyone? Okay. I would like to just add a couple comments. First, I'd like to thank Madeline for joining the facilities committee. You'll see that's on there. She brings a lot of experience, which I'm sure will be welcome on the facilities committee. So that's part of this agenda, the consent agenda here. And I would also like to thank Carl for the substitutes. I think they do have excellent qualifications, and I was really pleased to see the certifications they bring to the district, and I'm excited to welcome them. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move to a roll call vote, please, Dusty.
Jocelyn Aposello,
Aye.
David Gelber, James Hoke,
Aye.
Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
Sarah Tormey.
Aye. Okay. My page is in order here. Okay. I believe we are on to new business now. The first is approve CSE recommendations. I'm going to read the recommended action. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District approve the Committee on Special Education, CSE, and Committee on Preschool Special Education, CPSE, recommendations and student placements 0200174999, 0200171183, 02001745. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I think it's.
Seconded.
Is it not needed for a stop on it?
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, I'll move to a roll call vote, please.
Jocelyn Epicello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Aye.
James Hoke,
Aye.
Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye, sorry, mute.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
and Sarah Tormey.
Aye.
Thank you.
The next is approval of contract for educational services with Henrik Hudson Central School District. I'll read the recommended action. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District hereby approves the 2019-2020 contract for educational services with the Henrik Hudson Central School District for student number 53013. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. Questions?
We usually have agreements with Henrik Hudson for what particular services? I can't remember.
I'm going to Carl unmute, please, and I'll let Carl handle that.
Second time I did that, sorry. So yes, we have our CSE basically makes decisions at times to place Garrison students in out-of-district placements, such as Hen Hudson. You know, if we don't have the program here for a child, then we have an obligation to find an appropriate placement. So this is something, the rates are set by the state. The placement decision is really made by the Committee on Special Education. So I know in a way it seems a bit like a rubber stamp from the board, but this is a legal obligation that we have as a district.
Sure.
So
Sure. I was just wondering what kind of service or what kind of services would this one be provided? We're not sure.
This is a special class program, James.
Okay.
Yeah, for children with special needs. So and it's a
Okay.
program that we just don't offer here in-house in Garrison.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, gonna move to a roll call vote, please, Dusty.
Jocelyn Epicello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Aye.
James Hoke,
Aye.
Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Turn it again. Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
and Sarah Tormey.
Aye. Okay. Dusty, before I move on, I apologize for not clarifying this before. There is a chart with the next one. Do you need me to read the chart?
No, not necessarily. This is all, it's all public information. The public can see all of this information on board docs.
Okay, thank you. I will read everything, but the specific numbers are all listed on the chart, which you can see in board docs. So I'll leave it there. But I will read the resolution now. The recommended action, excuse me, for the establishment of the tax levy, acknowledgement of the tax rates, and the insurance of the tax warrant. The resolution to confirm tax rolls and authorize tax levy. Whereas the Board of Education was authorized to raise for the current budget of the 2020-2021 school year a sum not to exceed $9,503,653. Whereas the Board of Education was further authorized to raise for the 2020-2021 fiscal year a sum not to exceed $300,000 for the Alice Curtis Desmond and Hamilton Fish Library budget. Therefore, be it resolved that the board fix the equalized tax rates by towns and confirm the extension of the taxes as they appear on the following tax roll. The tax roll is available in board docs for you to view. And hereby be it hereby directed that the tax warrant of the board duly signed shall be affixed to the above described tax rolls authorizing the collection of said taxes to begin September 1, 2020 and end on October 31st, 2020, giving the tax warrant an effective period of 61 days, at the expiration of which time the tax collector shall make an accounting in writing to the board. And be it hereby directed that taxes are payable without penalty through September 30th, 2020, add a 2% fee from October 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2020. After October 31st, 2020, the list of unpaid taxes will be turned over to the county treasurer to re-levy on the state, county, and town tax bill with penalty and interest added according to law. I can practice that one first. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Ooh.
Second.
All right. Anyone have questions? Oh, I have a note here from Sue that I think is clear. Taxes will not be important to add. Taxes will not be accepted in person this year due to COVID. For anyone who is looking to pay their taxes prior to the penalty period, which begins on October 1st, please know that you must mail them in. Do not stop by the school and drop off your taxes. But please send them in.
Just quickly, will that just be up on the website or something for folks who might be used to seeing it, or great?
Yes, we'll make sure it's posted.
Good question. Thank you, Jocelyn. Any other questions, thoughts, comments on the taxes? Okay. Dusty, I'm going to move to a roll call vote.
Jocelyn Apicello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Mute. Okay, aye.
James Hoke,
Aye.
Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
Sarah Tormey.
Aye. Okay. I'm going to move to request for approval of payroll and payable services proposal. I'm going to read the recommended motion or recommended action first. Excuse me. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District, upon the recommendation of Carl L. Albano, Superintendent, hereby approves the proposal for business office services for payroll and payables and authorizes the superintendent himself to execute said agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Questions? Carl, do you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, sure. What this is a bridge for us, basically. You may recall we had our payroll person, long-term payroll person, did retire at the end of July. It is a difficult position to fill. Ms. Hutter has been working at that, but right now we've yet to fill the position. And the payroll really ramps up. Teachers, for the most part, and our aides and assistants are 10-month employees. So there is a need in the business office. This is a temporary service until we fill the position. If you'd like to know a little bit more about the cost, I certainly could promote Sue to discuss that. But it's certainly less than what we would be paying for a person. But eventually, we do intend to fill this position with a full-time person. James?
Is it aidable?
I believe so, but let me bring Sue up to give you an accurate response there. Hi, Sue.
Hi again. No, it's not aidable. It's not going through BOCES.
Okay. How much is it?
I believe it's $950 a day, but they're going to be charging on an hourly basis. they will not be working every single day. They're really only going to be processing payroll or processing payments.
I see.
They'll be paying taxes and doing reports sent to the state and all that stuff. It's really just the processing of payroll. So I think I wrote something to the board that it would probably maybe be 3 to 4 days, top 6 for the month.
Okay.
And we're just looking at it for this 1 month while we wait to fill the position. Is that correct? And this position has to be filled through, the county is involved with filling this position as well. Is that correct?
Yes, we have to go through civil service, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sue.
Okay.
Any further questions on this or? Okay. Move to a roll call vote, please.
Jocelyn Aposello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Aye.
James Hogue, Madeline Julian,
Aye.
Courtney McCarthy,
Aye.
Matthew Spicer,
Aye.
and Sarah Tormey.
Aye. Okay. I believe that brings me now to the public comment section. For the public who's here, if I would appreciate it if you could put your comments in the chat. I will read them, and while you are thinking of any comments, questions, I'm going to read our policy. Public comment is intended for members of the community to speak openly and voice concerns in accordance with policy 3220 of the Garrison Union Free School District. Any person wishing to speak shall comply with all provisions of this policy. Comments about specific school personnel or individual students is a violation of board policy. Concerns regarding students or personnel should be discussed privately with the superintendent or appropriate administrator. We're not limiting to 3 minutes here, obviously, because I will be reading them. Hopefully it won't take me that long. The board will listen to comments and will not engage in dialogue, but we will follow up. Okay, if anyone has any comments, please go ahead and enter them in the chat. See, we have a bunch of people here. Anyone? While I wait, while y'all think of comments or questions, I will say that if you do have questions, I know there's a lot of stuff happening right now. You can reach out to the team in the building. James, thank you. I'm going to read that one. He says, you all look terrific. That's sweet. But if you have a question or something, I would encourage you to reach out to the appropriate, follow the chain of command, reach out to, if it's a curriculum, reach out to a teacher. If it's transportation, please reach out to Michael Twardy. Carl is available for other questions. If it's board related, you're welcome to contact the board. Please know that if you do reach out directly to the board for something else, the question will be redirected to the appropriate member of the staff. But I'm happy if anybody has like questions about open meeting laws or something, I'm happy to chat. Okay, I don't see anything, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to board member. Janet, okay. I have a comment here. The 6th grade, hold on. The 6th grade welcome today was great. Thank you. Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear. The kids are super excited. Great. Maybe my computer is just a little slow. So I'm going to give it another minute in case anyone else has something they wish to add. I have nothing else to say though. So, okay. Please know you can reach out, and your comments, your questions are always appreciated. I am now going to move on to the board member comment / other discussion. We have a list here. I think last time we went in alphabetical order, so I thought I could reverse it this time again, which puts me first, and you've heard enough from me. I have no further comment at this time. So I'm going to go to Matt.
I just general comment, nothing specific. Just thank you to everyone who's working so hard in these unprecedented times and doing all this incredible work. And Mr. Albano in particular for all the heavy lifting that you're doing right now.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to go to Courtney.
I was going to say the same thing. And then Matt, you reminded me of one of my favorite recent memes I've seen going around, which is, when do we get to stop using the word unprecedented? But to Carl and all of the teachers working so tirelessly to get everything ready for opening next week, thank you for all of your time and effort and energy. And none of this is easy, and we appreciate all of the work.
Thank you. Madeline?
Another thank you. It's to the whole board, but really the teachers and facilities for setting everything up and making sure that the school is ready for all of the kids next week, and the community and the parents for working with all of us on this. And I'm sure we're going to get some comments and feedback, and I think we're going to have to keep our ears open and listen, and if need to, self-correct in real time, right? But I think everyone has done an amazing job, and Carl is wearing like 5 hats right now, so we're all going to have some patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. James?
How's that? I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, especially the teachers and staff, and to Carl. These are unprecedented times. We're doing a lot of work here, both as a board. We have to keep our eyes on what's going on in front of us in the immediacy of this crisis, and at the same time, we have to think about what the future looks like. And I think we're doing. I think everyone, staff that are hiring people, sitting on hiring committees. I'm excited to hear that there's so much interest in our little school district for a principal position. That's terrific. I feel confident that there's qualified, experienced, and professional candidates who can help lead the district. I hope that pool is diverse and powerful. And I also wanted to say, I want to add the people of Louisiana and Texas, my thoughts are with them tonight, and the people of Kenosha, Wisconsin, and all through America, the people of color who are continuing to suffer in this moment. And I'm hoping that change comes. So with our efforts.
Thank you. I'm going to go to David next.
Well, first of all, I see that our new communications consultant, Maria Slippin, is in the audience, and I just wanted to tell you how pleased we are that you're here and how important improving our communications procedures are to all of us. So welcome. And speaking of communications, it occurred to me today, and I know that this is a difficult proposal, but I thought we all ought to consider the possibility, given how, excuse the expression, unprecedented these days are, that we consider for the foreseeable future having board meetings every single week for the next period of time, because not just because things are going to be coming up that we'll have to deal with that may be unexpected, but also because we really do want to make sure that the community has an opportunity to talk to us and to hear us and to talk back to us and to tell us what's on their minds. This just seems like such an unusual situation. And I know that this is, that proposing this is really a much greater burden for both Carl and for Sarah. And I apologize for that. And it may be that it's not deemed necessary by most people, but it seems to me that we ought to at least consider the possibility of meeting every Wednesday night for at least the next month or so.
Because there is a discussion listed here, if anyone wishes to respond to that, please let me know. I will point out that we do have a meeting scheduled for next week, and also Dusty did not fall out of her chair at this suggestion, so that's promising. But this does take a lot of effort on our district clerk's part to put this meeting together, all the meetings together. So I will open it up if anyone has questions, comments, thoughts on that proposal. Or we can hold it for next week and see how we're doing and perhaps start adding meetings then. Please also keep in mind your committee work. Dusty's put together a wonderful committee meeting schedule that looks very exciting. That will keep board members busy throughout September as well.
I'd want to meet David halfway on this and say that I think it's important that the community have a chance to voice their concerns and give feedback. And I think maybe a webinar hosted by the superintendent and perhaps one or two board members might be sufficient to answer those, to be that. So to do that job, and maybe I actually would encourage that to happen once a quarter or so anyway. Just so that people don't have to sit through the business meeting to make their comment, that they go to a place where they can voice their concerns. I think it's healthy, but that's my 2 cents.
I'll meet you halfway on that and propose that we do it more frequently than once a quarter. But I think it's a good suggestion.
I would be happy to volunteer time to help with the webinar as well, Carl. And I can read questions. That's but in terms of the business of the board at these meetings, I don't believe, David, that I'm not sure we have enough. We can always have discussions on different things, but whether we have business that needs to be conducted every week in terms of approving contracts and things like that, I'm not sure, even in these unprecedented times. Does anyone else have any thoughts, though, before we move off this subject? Because I am happy to entertain it, as long as Dusty doesn't object horribly. All right. Courtney, did you have a thought you wish to share?
I'm hesitating. I like the webinar idea. I think we can also discuss this more next week. I think David has a point of that we don't know what is to come exactly. And I think there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in news in the next couple of weeks, months. But also similarly with Garrison is let's get our communications plan in order and see what comes of that, what is going to work best in terms of regular communications with our parents, coming from staff, how we help administration, and go from there. So I think this can sort of be ongoing.
Matt?
And I think we can build on things we learned this summer, what worked, what didn't work, from all the hard work that Carl was doing with the class level meetings, for example, and all of that. We've started having things in line with some of what David's talking about in terms of forums specifically geared towards information. And circumstances are going to be changing. We don't know how or in which direction over the next few months, but forums like that, I agree, as we brainstorm together with the community, it'll be good to come up with ways to have an open line so that parents don't have to wait for a set date. There's more frequent opportunity. But I agree, Sarah, with your point that it's separate, I think, from the regular board business. It seems like it's very COVID specific. So maybe brainstorm in line with what James was talking about, ideas for how to make a forum for that.
And certainly I will say that under New York state law, any board member can call a meeting with 24 hours notice at any time. So if you guys feel strongly, we can try and make that happen if we need to. And provide Dusty.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
Go ahead. No.
I would think it might be in response to events. I mean, as you know, if infection rates change or there's some sort of statement from the governor or something happens in a neighboring district or who knows, who knows. whatever it is, maybe then in response, it'll be sort of a moving thing.
Certainly. Okay. I'm going to go now to Jocelyn. Sorry, Jocelyn, to put a discussion in front of you. It's that alphabet thing.
No comment.
Okay. Thank you all. Nothing else. We do not need to go into executive session, I believe, at this point, because we did it earlier. Thank you all for your time there. Oh, Dusty had a comment here that she typed in that I'm going to read. We could limit extra meetings to discussion only and no other business. That is something to consider going forward, that we could have a discussion of the status of where we're at, and possibly put in, I guess, a public comment as well if we need it. Although I do think due to the policy surrounding public comment, sometimes the webinars might be a more appropriate function for if we're really looking for public feedback. If we need to make a decision, certainly we can meet and discuss.
I think there's a value in having all of us listen to the community, not just Carl and Sarah.
I think that's true. That is a good point.
If I could just add, you know, the town hall style meetings that we did were very well attended. And I think what I'm hearing is this maybe something more interactive, I think is what the community welcomes and again, just based on the attendance. Now, of course, there's a lot of focus on what would reopening look like. But I agree. I mean, in the weeks and months ahead, it's a complicated time, and we don't have that ability to interact in person where a lot of informal communication happens. So, I think we should consider it more, and I am open to anything. But I think probably this evening the lack of questions maybe is partially due to those town hall meetings that were so well attended. So I would like to continue that in some way, but I will defer to the board on, partial board, entire board, but I would fully be behind something like that on a regular basis.
Madeline?
I think it might be really helpful to see what happens the first week of school, because some of the students will be in this new iTutor program and some will be in person and really experiencing the school in a totally different way. And it will be good to just listen and get feedback to hear how it went the first week.
Okay. I mean, I think I could look at, I think what we're sounding like is that we might appreciate a meeting on September 9th as well. Perhaps. So maybe we can think about that some more. I'm happy to work on it with Dusty, and then also perhaps the town hall webinars. So we have both in place, perhaps. Any other thoughts, questions? Okay. Then I am going to adjourn the meeting. I'm going to read the recommended action. Be resolved that the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District hereby adjourns a special meeting of August 26, 2020. Got that one. Okay. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Dusty, would you call the roll, please?
Jocelyn Apicello,
Aye.
David Gelber,
Aye.
James Hoke, Madeline Julian.
Aye.
Courtney
Aye.
McCarthy. Thank you, James. Courtney McCarthy.
James stole my vote. Aye.
Matthew Spicer.
Aye.
And Sarah Torming.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, for your time this evening. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Dusty. Thank you to all the other board members and everyone who sat through this meeting, which is now ending before 8:30. Feeling really good about that one. All right, guys.
Hey, you cheated. You started a little early. Take care.
Bye. Good night.
Good evening.
Night.